Peace and Islam. Welcome into the Amexem-Moor-Empire, Department for the Communications, Moor's Internet Televideo-Network, or M.I.T.N for short. It is a part of the Imperial Broadcasting Agency. For the record, today's date on the Amexem-Moor calendar is Peace Day, the 13th of Zibana, the year 301-630. I am the Honorable Noble Pinawat Il. I serve as the lead video broadcast agent, and I shall be a hostess for this video broadcast segment. It is my honor and my privilege to welcome back to our segment of the Amexem-Moor-Empire, His Imperial Majesty and Enenu Il Bey. Peace and Islam, Emperor.
Peace, Heaven, and Light, Islam, Honorable Noble Tina. How you faring this evening?
Peace and Islam, all is well.
Islam.
Islam. So welcome back to the Amexem-Moor-Empire, segment 27, entitled Fiscal Budget Proposal, Islam.
Islam. All right, we're here.
Islam. So it has come to our attention as nationals that the new fiscal budget proposal for the year 301-631 has been proposed and presented to the Imperial Council. So Islam. Just wanted you to give a brief detail of how the process went. Islam.
Islam. All right. Well, as a result of preparing what became the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, what was ratified by the Imperial Council to become our actual Constitution, under Article 6, Section 2, Clause 1 of that Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, the Constitution Monarch has the duty, obligation, and responsibility to present before the Imperial Council a fiscal budget proposal for how we're going to govern ourselves. It is the Imperial Council's duty, obligation, and responsibility under the same Article 6, Section 2, Clause 1 to legislate what shall be the fiscal budget law. It completes the Amexem-Moor-Empire as a constitutional monarchy with diffused power, because we don't think that any one man or woman should have absolute power. So the wallet or purse strings, as some would say, for our organic diplomacy and governance is in the hands of the Imperial Council members by way of their vote. Now, the vote doesn't happen under Article 6, Section 2, Clause 1. The presentation is required under that particular article, section, and clause. The vote is done by Article 2, Section 1, Clauses 1, 2, and 3. And that is how we go through that particular process. So let me wind it back a little bit for you. After Moor's Re-Emergence Day, generally 2 love days after Moor's Re-Emergence Day is when the fiscal budget proposal is to be presented before the Imperial Council for deliberations and negotiations, for us to get through a proper process to get you and all of us a competent fiscal budget law. So this Earth year got it in on time, and we have set, preliminarily speaking, a date to commence the deliberations phase. I'm not going to give the date at the moment. I say it's preliminary at this particular point. The Imperial Council and I, we've agreed in principle. We just have to finalize a couple of details, and once we do, we're going to publicly announce the date that the deliberations phase actually begins. It's different than the way it used to be. It used to be that we would just immediately launch into deliberations. However, the fiscal budget proposals have become larger and larger and larger. So because of this, we have changed how we go through that particular process. Effectively, the Imperial Council members will sit with the budget proposal for a little bit, and they will go through whatever their process are that they do individually. And then on a predetermined date, we come together and start the accumulative, if you would, deliberations phase. So in other words, the Imperial Council members go through self-deliberation on their own for a little bit, and then we get on the record and begin to go through actual deliberations phase. From deliberations phase, we work our way into negotiations phase. And there could be multiple rounds of negotiations. And then from there, if it's been a proper polling of the Imperial Council, and the polling suggests that the Imperial Council members are now prepared to go to a fiscal budget proposal vote, I will call for the vote, and then there will be a motion for it, a proper second for the vote, and then we would tally the vote, and if it's in the affirmative, I would have gotten you a new fiscal budget law. If not, back to work until I get you one. And that is the summary of how the process actually works. This way, we have to go through a process where it makes clear that there is a separation of the duties, obligations, and responsibilities constitutionally. The Imperial Council is not a rubber stamp. Just because I get to ask them for particular things in the fiscal budget proposal does not mean they're going to say yes. There have been times I've asked for things in the fiscal budget proposal that I did not get in your service. And there are times there are things I did not ask for in the fiscal budget proposal that are in the fiscal budget laws. That's the nature of how you get excellent governance. And that's as far as I'm prepared to go based on how you asked or what you were seeking in the first part of the question. So to that end, or questioning, should I say, to that end, do you have a follow-on question at this point, Honorable Noble Tina?
As a follow-up to the process that you just explained, how does this year's proposal differ pertaining to what was presented for the previous year? Islam.
So you're asking me, how does the budget proposal currently before the Imperial Council now differ from the current fiscal budget law?
Islam, yes. So what aspects of it have changed? Islam.
Do you really want to open that Pandora's box in the interview? I'm happy to answer your question, but you don't know what you really asked. So I'm going to do my best to shrink that down. It's like, all right, Honorable Noble Tina. All right, so when I present fiscal budget proposal before the Imperial Council on the record, supervisor and deputy supervisor for the Imperial Council have to receive it, and then we go through a roll call, if you would, on particular things, and then we proceed on to get it into the record that the fiscal budget proposal is before the Imperial Council officially, as per our Constitution, and then we get to work on it, as I previously explained. Now, what is different? As a rule, every year when I put together a fiscal budget proposal and present before the Imperial Council, the biggest issue with the fiscal budget proposal every year is what inflation looks like over the course of 18 months, 18 Earth months. Because the fiscal budget law is only 1 year. It generally takes about 6 months to get you a fiscal budget law. So that's 18 months. 18 Earth months long. So I have to forecast what exactly is the gold and silver price internationally going to look like. That's the buying power of the silver that we collect and the gold that we collect throughout the earth here. That funds the fiscal budget law, the business taxes, the monthly contributions, what we're gaining from crops that went to market. Those are the three primary things that bring funds into Imperial Treasury besides levies and things of this nature, which you don't have any levies. We have an Imperial trade tax on exactly one item. However, I don't want to spiral too far out. Let me just say this. Inflation is generally the thing that holds us up. And as a rule, I would do it every Earth year, starting with the forecast probably looks like for the duration of the negotiations and duration of the entire fiscal budget law once it takes effect. Technically, it's not my job to do that. I do it in the service of all of you to shorten the process. Technically, it's the responsibility of the Imperial Council. You're talking about multiple chefs in one kitchen. And to smooth things along, just to make this process go faster, I just do it and get it out the way, and I present it for them. They either agree or they don't. If they don't agree, then we go back and rehash, or we'll attach a rider to the fiscal budget law to take into account if things go beyond particular parameters with inflation. However, every now and again, I don't do it. I make them do it because technically it is the Imperial Council's job. So keep them in check. Every now and again, I say, no, I'm not doing it this year. Do your job. I didn't do that this earth year because we have a lot of things going on besides dealing with the headache of inflation, which is, I can't even put it into words. When parties across the planet are engaging in tariff and trade wars, that impacts what can be locally sourced by us across the planet. So, the headaches, the stress, the drama, and the confusion, seeing things out of stock for months at a time and seeing things discontinued because of there being casualties of tariff and trade wars impacts what I can ask for reasonably, realistically. And then there are things that get discontinued. For example, a particular van that is prominent in the current fiscal budget law and previous fiscal budget laws for a long time. You won't find those vans in the fiscal budget proposal before the Imperial Council now, because they discontinued that particular model, and there's no particular competent or comparable model out there that I'm interested in your service. So instead of looking for an additional, I did look for additional vans, didn't see anything I preferred. Instead, I've asked the Imperial Council for crew cab 4x4s with long beds. We already had them in the fiscal budget law. I just doubled the number I generally would ask them for to replace the van. So things like this, I won't go into because a lot of things happen along that continuum. So the fiscal budget proposal, if you put it next to the current fiscal budget law, you're going to see these changes. You'll see minor things here and there. Wait, that's the same, but the numbers are different. Why did you ask? He asked for less of these. He asked for more of these. All tied back to the mission that each department, subdepartment actually does. In closing on this point, I did ask for less gold for the block monies for each department and subdepartment in the departmental portion, the top portion of the fiscal budget proposal and top portion of the fiscal budget law. I asked for less, partially because we did acquire certain things off the fiscal budget law current. So it made it less necessary to ask for particular things. So where I can be reasonable and ask for less things, I'm always going to do that. And certain things I was asking for less for a reason, because I was asking for a fleet of fishing boats for different command areas. Cebu Cavite District, Kenyatta District, looking to get a series of fishing boats for us to use to engage in the fishing trade. So ask for less of this, this, and this to gain this, this, and this. And so just because I asked doesn't mean that the Imperial Council is going to agree. Votes have to be earned. There's going to be arguments. I have to have counter arguments to the counter arguments and counters to the counters. It's not as simple as it sounds. So I have to read an inordinate amount of information on an annual basis. Product reviews, which ones were done by bots and which ones are actually real. Look at the tenure, look at the tenor, of these particular reviews. Is there a trend upward or downward from the previous year? That would indicate an improvement or a devolvement in the quality assurance of the product. So, gotta look at these things. Are there changes in warranties? Are these better changes or worse changes? Does this now make this a non-issue? Should I look at a different particular comparable product? Last year, I didn't ask for particular things for health and phytotherapy. This year, I'm asking for 2 different types of refrigerated centrifuges, high speed and low speed. I didn't know that you need to have both for particular things. One deals with viruses better, and the other deals with bacteria better. Didn't know. I know it now. So these are the things, and I can go on. Like I said, you open Pandora's box. You have no idea what you ask. So I will simply say it's a lot. I know folks look at our budget proposals and our budget laws. All they see is all these items and how many units. All they see is just numbers. They have no idea what it went into, why that equipment and why that many units. What's the duration of this thing? Will there be cracks that appear after 2 Earth years or 7 Earth years or 10? Can you have those things replaced under warranty? Can you repair this? Is it practical and sensible to do so or not? It's a host of things. The only thing about all this is when you cover as much ground as I have to cover as a constitutional monarch in your service, you tend to be able to cover a wide amount of ground on a wide amount of issues, equipment, materials, and supplies. The bad part about that is over time you come across as a know-it-all, and no one likes a know-it-all. Anyway, I hopefully have satisfied your question with the answer I gave. Do you have an additional follow-on question, Honorable Noble Tina Islam?
In Islam, and beautiful answers. My last question is regarding this fiscal budget and its correlation to improving the lives for all the nationals all across both sides of the ocean. Islam, can you give a little bit of, I guess, closing remarks with regards to that, Islam?
Islam, all right. This particular budget proposal before the Imperial Council now, whether there's going to be insertions, addendums, amendments unto it or not remains to be seen. Sometimes I get exactly what I asked for. Sometimes there are insertions, there are addendums, there are amendments to it. Sometimes that's for things taken out or for things added in, or a combination of things being exchanged. It can go a lot of ways. That said, I don't want to presuppose what the Imperial Council is going to be in the mood for, what they're going to agree to. So my answer to you about how it will save lives and improve the quality of lives in the next fiscal budget law, whatever it may be, not to be presumptions before the Imperial Council, to pay in all deference and respect unto His Crown Excellency, His Excellency, and their Excellencies. I'm going to preface by saying, provided that what I've asked for is provided what is exactly what's made as fiscal budget law. We are heavily focused on health, as we always are. Frugal operations, making sure the water is safe to drink. With the amount of microplastics that's out there in the water, in the soil, getting into the soft tissue of our fellow nationals and our kith and kindred across the planet. Those are always our central focus. You can look at the fiscal budget law and the proposals every Earth year. You can see what our priorities are. Home construction with septic tanks. You're talking about being able to get to sea on our own terms. The Imperial Transit operations is actually expanded Not this year, but with the current fiscal budget law, excuse me, it has. But for the fiscal budget proposal, I didn't ask for any additional fleet operations for commuter buses and things of this nature. Those numbers are static; they remained as they are. You will see us being able to provide better services unto those that have a business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. We'll be able to further substantiate apothecaries, if you would, which is a portion of our non-surgical universal health care plan. So there are things that we'll be able to do to save lives and improve the quality of lives in an enhanced manner. Things that will allow a business owner within the Amexem-Moor-Empire to have better forecasting that they can get from us, that can help them with their business operations so they can improve their unit cost and hopefully gain market share and be able to be better funded as a consequence, and make sure all the stakeholders are better compensated. Everybody wins. That's the best way I know how to answer the question as you asked it. Now, for some that's not familiar with who we are and how we proceed, that might not have gone far enough. So if you need me to go further, I think I can, but I just want to keep it a little short, which is kind of hard to do, because a fiscal budget law is designed in many aspects of life and science and endeavor to improve everyone's life's walk. Not the imperial government improving everyone's life's walk, creating the conditions and the environment and maintaining and protecting and securing through proper risk management of everyone's ability to do that on their own, in their private life, in their operation of their business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, within the operation of a non-for-profit they is set within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. The things that allow them to engage in their life pursuits within the rigors of our Constitution. That's the best way I really know how to answer that question. And with that, I yield the floor in case you have any follow-on questions.
Peace and Islam. That will suffice for this segment. I'm sure we will follow up in future segments regarding once the proposal has been approved. But I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for your service and for all your answers and to my questions. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. And to our wonderful audience, for more information about the Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Government Operations, contact is available at the website we influence, which is www.modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. That website once again is modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. Please show us some love and leave a positive feedback or comment. I would appreciate it, and we all would, and we say thank you. You are also encouraged to share a link for this video segment with all who you associate with. And until next time, on behalf of His Imperial Majesty and all of our fellow Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals all across the planet, we say peace, great health, and prosperity upon all of you and upon all of us. Islam.